On the day I lost the baby I was carrying, my husband Marcus was celebrating his idealized former flame Grace's son's birthday. Later, he knelt, begging me to reconcile. Under his shocked gaze, I took his brother's hand and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but I'm engaged." Halfway through lighting the candles, a text message popped up on his phone. It was a video. In the video, a man gently played the guitar and sang a love song, his gaze fixed on the camera, tender and lingering. That burning gaze made me feel as if I'd been struck by lightning. I had known Marcus for 8 years and been married to him for 5, yet he had never sung for me. At a gathering in our 2nd year of marriage, I heard his brother jokingly call him the ballad. I was incredibly curious and begged him for ages to sing for me. What did he say then? Oh, he nonchalantly extinguished his cigarette butt and said blandly, "I stopped singing long ago." My nose stung, and tears rolled down my face. So it wasn't that he stopped singing, it was just that it wasn't meant for me, right? Wiping away my tears, I screenshotted the text and saved the video, then called Marcus. "Harper." A disdainful female voice came through the receiver. I instinctively tightened my grip on the phone, feeling as if invisible thorns were erupting from my body. Grace, Marcus's idealized former flame who had just returned overseas, an ex whose mere voice made me feel like I was facing a formidable enemy. Taking a deep breath, I dug the nails of my other hand into my palm. "Put on the phone. Marcus is showering, he's not available." As the night deepened, a man showering at the home of someone he was attracted to, at this hour, his intentions were obvious. Unable to contain my rage any longer, my eyes turned bloodshot, and my body trembled with fury. "He's my husband. Have you no shame?" The other end chuckled indifferently. "Is today your 5th anniversary? Yet he came over just like on your wedding day 5 years ago, simply because." I asked. TSK, come to think of it, I almost feel sorry for you." Her words drained all color from my face, and my eyes turned bloodshot. No wonder, Marcus was late on our wedding day. Aren't you curious? He's not one to meddle, so why did he save you the first time you met? It's because I am his idealized former flame, and he saved me. It felt as if an invisible hand was tightly clutching my heart, making me tremble uncontrollably from the pain. Tears streamed from the corners of my eyes. I gripped the armrest tightly, listening to the voice from the other end. "Harper, from the very beginning, you were just my replacement." A sound came from the other end, and then the call was cut off. I stood stunned for a long time, tears already covering my face. Every scene from our first meeting and the past 8 years, at this moment of revelation, along with all the feelings I had poured into it, became a mangled, barely recognizable mess. Marcus and I met in late summer, a cliched tale of a hero saving the damsel in distress. I was a lawyer, and I had won my first case brilliantly. Full of joy, I was retaliated against by the defendant's family on the way home. As a thick wooden stick descended, my hands and feet were bound, and I resignedly closed my eyes. The imagined pain never came. I opened my eyes to see Marcus with his back to me, snatching the stick and driving the 3 people away in just a few moves. He turned to look at me, curving his lips in what seemed like relief, and said, "It's all right now." The lingering glow of the setting sun enveloped him, softening his features and making him look incredibly handsome. I felt my heart, which had been calm for 20 years, beat violently like never before. In that moment, Marcus seemed like a god to me. How ridiculous, that the man who made me fall in love at first sight, to whom I bravely gave 8 years of devotion, was merely the result of another woman's doing. It turned out that from the beginning, the ending was predetermined. A sharp pang in my lower abdomen pulled me out of my memories. I clutched my stomach, my gaze falling on the dining table. Among the fragrant dishes, a black and white report stood out jarringly. Today was our 5th wedding anniversary. Marcus had promised to come home to celebrate it together. I had originally planned to surprise him today. Now, it seemed, it wouldn't be a pleasant surprise. Thinking of the baby in my womb, I stood up from the chair, grabbed the report, and left the house. The influence of one's upbringing on a child is profound. I wanted to try one last time to give my child a complete family. Nearing the apartment, I dialed Marcus's phone. "Come down, I'm at Grace's." "Daddy," a child's voice rang out, and my mind went blank. Daddy? What daddy? Who was his daddy? An urgent horn blared. I looked up to see a truck veering out of control and hurtling towards me. My body lurched forward, then was slammed against the taxi window. Sticky blood blurred my vision, and the pain in my lower abdomen intensified. I could feel something vital draining away. My baby. Raising my hand, which felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds, I placed it on my lower abdomen and let out a faint whimper. Harper? Marcus seemed to sense something was wrong on the other end of the line and called out to me. My consciousness gradually faded. In a daze, I heard the boy on the other end of the phone ask him, "Daddy, Leo's birthday wish today is for you and Mommy to be together forever. Will it come true?" The other end was silent for a moment, then he replied, "Of course." The call ended with a dial tone. In my last conscious moment, I thought, so he was celebrating his idealized former flame's son's birthday after all. He called him Daddy, while my child, after hearing that Daddy, forever lost its life. My body grew cold, and my consciousness plunged into darkness. It felt as if I had died at that moment, along with my child. I woke up in the morning, my head feeling groggy. I carefully placed my hand on my lower abdomen. The bond was gone, I knew the baby was no longer there. I closed my eyes, and tears rolled from the corners of my eyes, disappearing into the pillow. Awake? A male voice fell with the sound of the door closing. I opened my eyes, slightly startled. "Why are you here?" Ryan, Marcus's good friend. The three of us had started a business together, so we were friends, of sorts. Before the marriage, only he had subtly warned me that even with marriage and children, I would never be Marcus's top priority. How confident I was back then. I said with a bright smile, "Before the baby is born, I'll definitely make him love me the most." Now, the baby was gone, and reality had slapped me hard. Regarding the company, I couldn't reach him by phone, so I called you. The nurse told me you were in a car accident. Ryan leaned closer and checked my temperature with the back of his hand. Good, no fever anymore. The proximity was too close. I smelled the strong scent of smoke on him, mixed with his unique woody fragrance. I shifted uncomfortably. Thank you. Where's Marcus? Remembering that daddy from when my baby died, my heart ached uncontrollably. If the baby could hear it, how painful would it be? His phone's off, I can't reach him. Ryan also told me that the truck driver had been arrested for drunk driving and, with a lawyer, would face at least 5 years in prison. I stared silently at the ceiling, not speaking for a long time. Ryan sighed, pulled out a few tissues and handed them to me, his voice hoarse as he said, "Harper, you can have other children." I sniffled and murmured, "No, I won't." But it wouldn't be him. Just a few hours ago, he was safely inside my womb, how could he be gone? It was my fault. I shouldn't have gone to find Marcus. I shouldn't have foolishly hoped for the love of a man whose heart wasn't with me for so many years. It was Marcus's fault. He shouldn't have given his entire heart to another woman and then married me. He cheated during our marriage, vacillating. But what did my baby do wrong? He was pure and untainted. Why was he the one who died? Ryan scrolled on his phone for a moment, looking at me as if he wanted to say something but held back. "What is it?" He hesitated, then handed his phone to me. It was Grace's social media post from half an hour ago. "Happy birthday, darling. Mommy and Daddy will be there for every birthday from now on." The little boy in the photo looked about 5 years old, with delicate features and bright white teeth. Marcus and Grace stood on either side, their arms around the child's shoulders, both smiling exceptionally brightly. They looked like a perfect match, deeply in love. Ryan saw my expression and excused himself to smoke outside. Before leaving, he dropped a line. "If you want to get revenge on them, I can help you." He closed the door behind him. I took out the ultrasound report, hugged it tightly to my chest, and cried until my heart broke. My baby, forever stopped living on the day his father cheated. And the only proof of his existence was this blood-stained report. From beginning to end, I was probably the only one who remembered he had ever been. His father was still entertaining another child when he died. How absurd. I dug my fingernails into my palms. "Marcus, you have to suffer as much as I do for it to be compensation." Marcus arrived at noon. I had sent Ryan to work, so I was alone in the hospital room. "How did you get into a car accident? Where are you hurt?" He took my hand, his gaze sweeping over me. The scent of Grace's perfume clung to him, making me nauseous. I subtly pulled my hand back, then tossed my phone onto the bed in front of him. "Didn't you say you were working overtime at the company yesterday?" The screen prominently displayed a screenshot of Grace's social media post. Marcus frowned. "Yesterday, Grace begged me to celebrate Leo's birthday. I was AFR. Age, you'd overthink things, Harper." I didn't expect you'd get into a car accident. Leo? Bin? Grace certainly knew how to pick names. Then what about your phone? Why was it off? My phone died yesterday. Grace suddenly pushed the door open and walked to Marcus's side. Harper, I'm so sorry. If the child hadn't insisted on his daddy celebrating his birthday yesterday, none of this would have happened to you. Blame me if you must. She lowered her head, staring at her toes, biting her lip, looking exactly like someone who had been horribly wronged. TSK. The moment she made that face, Marcus's protective instincts would go into overdrive. It was a trick that never failed. Sure enough, he pulled Grace behind him. This was an accident. What does it have to do with you? Besides, Harper is fine, isn't she? Fine? I had a concussion and a minor fracture in my left leg, and all I got was a dismissive fine. Marcus probably hadn't even noticed that in front of Grace, I was always just two words, my full name, Harper. The distinction was clear. My lower abdomen throbbed, and I was furious. How come I didn't know you suddenly had a son? Leo was crying for his dad, and I had no choice but to. Grace stepped forward, bowed and apologized to me. I'm sorry. If you mind, I'll have him call you uncle next time. From my angle, I could clearly see a hickey on her collarbone. That shade of red reminded me of the blood from last night. Unable to hold back any longer, I propped myself up and got out of bed, raising my hand and slapping Grace. What are you doing? Marcus pushed me away, then turned his head to ask with concern, Grace, are you all right? I was already weak from the recent miscarriage. Unprepared, I stumbled and fell to the floor, hitting my head on the cabinet. My head spun, and thick blood trickled down my forehead. Struggling to get up from the floor, I lunged at her again. I no longer cared about reason or any plans. I only wanted them to pay for my child's life. I rushed forward and desperately choked Grace. Tell me, if Leo heard his mommy died, would he also throw a fit, demanding his mommy? Marcus forcibly pried my hands away, and a slap landed across my face. You're insane, Harper. The slap was extremely heavy. The entire left side of my face felt numb and burning. I raised my hand, and with all my strength, slapped him back twice as hard. You've already driven me mad. Why don't you two cheating scum just die? Blood blurred my vision. I must have looked terrifying at that moment, to see such horror on Marcus's face. How did you become like this? Marcus murmured to himself. Betrayers never truly know the torment and suffering you've endured behind their backs. They enjoy the thrill of a new life, yet they still have the audacity to accuse you of changing. How dare they? I know it's all my fault, but Harper, your words are too harsh. Grace looked as if she had suffered an immense wrong, and tears welled up in her eyes. She pushed Marcus away and ran off. Grace. Marcus called out. Are you satisfied? He gave me a chilling glance, as if I were a criminal. Without waiting for my reply, he chased after her. I clutched my throbbing lower abdomen and limped back to sit on the bed. Satisfied? No. I'm not satisfied. I made some chicken soup. Try some. In the afternoon, Ryan knocked on the hospital room door. He was here. He pressed his lips together, staring at my bandaged forehead. I nodded. I'm going to find him. Forget it. I already retaliated. After all this, you're still not getting a divorce? Ryan was furious. Did he send you to persuade me? No. Didn't you already guess? I like you. I stared at him in shock. His slightly reddened ears and ragged breathing all spoke volumes, confirming that what he had just said was true. Looking into his bright eyes, it was like looking at my former self. The words of refusal churned in my throat, but I still uttered them. We can't be. I'm Marcus's wife. But he cheated. Do you know that a man who cheats never changes? Do you love him that much? I turned my head away. It has nothing to do with you. Love was too illusory. I couldn't guarantee whether I would like him in the future. I didn't want to hold him back. After a long silence, he sighed. I found out Grace was kept by more than one person overseas. If you don't want a divorce, those photos might be useful. I told you, he won't believe it. Marcus's trust in Grace was unshakable. That day, I put all the photos I found in front of him, telling him about Grace's past overseas. He only glanced at them, then looked me up and down with disappointment for a long time. He said, Harper, Grace and I are childhood sweethearts. I know what kind of person she is better than you do. What are you trying to prove by forging this evidence? How many times do I have to tell you we're innocent before you believe me? Don't think everyone is as sordid as you are. In his heart, Grace was his pure, idealized former flame. And I was a sordid, unscrupulous shrew. 8 years of devotion felt like nothing more than my own self-delusion. I felt truly powerless at that moment. It was also the first time I had considered giving up. But I wasn't reconciled. My youth, my love, and everything I had for these 8 years, I had given to him. The sunk cost was too high, so I hesitated. I was a very stubborn person, hitting a brick wall until the pain finally woke me up. Only then would I turn around and remind myself never to make the same mistake again. A week later, I was discharged. Ryan helped me out of bed. The moment Marcus pushed open the door, I was utterly surprised. Not only by his sudden arrival, but also by his bruised cheekbone and corner of his mouth. I subtly shifted my gaze to Ryan beside me. He raised an eyebrow at me, then leaned in and whispered, "With such a serious injury on your forehead, he had to pay some price, right? Don't worry, I ambushed him and he has no idea it was me." I couldn't help but twitch my lips into a smile. "You're truly a good friend to him." He looked extremely proud. "To me, you're much more important than he is. So, what do you say? If you get a divorce, consider me." Ever since he confessed his feelings that day, it was as if he had unlocked the ability to speak sweet nothings. No matter how many times he was rejected, he was still full of vigor. He said he had already missed one chance and didn't want to have any more regrets. "What are you doing here?" Marcus raised his voice, interrupting our whispered conversation. He stood at the doorway, looking displeasedly at Ryan. "If you won't take care of your own wife, I have to look after my business partner, don't I? Since when did you become so meddlesome?" Marcus narrowed his eyes, filled with displeasure. In the past, I would have definitely pulled away from Ryan's support, walked to Marcus's side, and comforted him. But now, I simply held on to Ryan's wrist, took the cane he offered with my other hand, and slowly walked to Marcus's side. "We're just friends. Don't be unreasonable." He had said that 3 days ago. Now, I returned the favor in full. "Harper, why don't you tell me, where have you been after work this past week?" I turned my head, giving him a flat look. Marcus said self-righteously, "The way you humiliated Grace that day, she was so upset she almost took her own life. If I hadn't been with her, you'd have a death on your conscience right now. Since you're being discharged, I'll take you to apologize to her." A scoff came from the side. "Your wife just got into a car accident, and you went to comfort your first love? And you want your wife, fresh out of the hospital, to apologize to your first love? I never realized Mr. Marcus was such a weirdo before." "None of your damn business." Marcus raised his voice, feeling guilty. He reached out, grabbed Ryan's collar, and raised his fist. "Enough. He's not wrong." I pulled Marcus's hand away from Ryan. "Are you coming or not?" Marcus helped me into the car. Leaning my head out of the passenger window, I said with a smile, "Ryan, thank you for staying with me this past week. I'll cook for you personally sometime soon." The car sped off, moving at an extremely fast pace. The wind made my face ache. I quickly pulled my head back in, closed the window, and leaned back against it, eyes closed. I remembered seeing a post once. It basically said that love and a lack of it were both hidden in the details. But love could blind people. So even though every minute detail of life kept reminding me that he didn't love me, I still made excuses for him. Now that I had pulled myself away, I realized how foolish I had been. "Ryan? Didn't you used to call him Vice Ryan?" Marcus's voice, tinged with a slight anger, sounded, interrupting my thoughts. "Times change. Besides, didn't you say it's just a title?" I looked up and forced a smile at him. "Don't be so petty, Mr. Marcus." Marcus tugged at his tie with his left hand. "Stay away from him." I laughed out loud. "Why should I? You're allowed your female confidants, but I'm not allowed to have male friends? You left me in that hospital. Did you ever consider how hard it would be for me to go to the restroom with a broken leg? How helpless I would feel with no one to bring me food? How miserable I'd be, alone in an empty room, with my leg aching and my head throbbing? Your mind was completely occupied with your idealized former flame and her child. Then let's get a divorce. Go live with her." Marcus parked the car in a nearby parking space. "I'm sorry, Harper. I didn't know." It was rare to see guilt on his face. "Did you really not know? Then why did you spend a whole week with Grace's son when he had a fever? Was it that you didn't know, or that I'm just not as important as Grace's son?" Marcus wanted to say more, but I turned my head and leaned back against the seat. "I'm tired. Wake me W. Hen we get home. In the early hours of the second day after returning home, I was woken by Marcus. Leaning on my cane, I pushed open the bedroom door and froze. Bright red roses were arranged in a large heart shape on the pristine white floor. Rose petals stretched from the bedroom doorway, and as far as the eye could see, everything was a fiery red, like a red carpet leading to a wedding. The candles gleamed brightly, illuminating the dim living room. A rose-shaped cake was on the coffee table. Marcus held a large bouquet of red roses and smiled at me. The scene was incredibly romantic. I stared steadily at him. Our eyes met. I saw his face, softened and warmed by the candlelight, and felt a moment of disorientation. I didn't even notice when he walked up to me. "Why are you crying?" Putting down the roses, he frantically bent down to wipe away my tears. I reached up and touched my face, only then realizing that I was already in tears. After so many years of marriage, he had never given me this kind of surprise. This sense of ritual, usually reserved for young girls, had never even been mine in my dreams. Yet, I had once seen on Marcus's tablet, on his private Weibo account, that he had used 2 months' savings to light up the sky with fireworks for Grace, written her 100 love letters, made her a handmade scarf, released 99 sky lanterns for her, and each lantern was filled with his sincere love. The fervent passion of his youth, he had given it all to another woman without reservation. And then, our relationship skipped the honeymoon phase entirely and quickly became bland. He was never someone who didn't understand romance. He just wasn't willing to share it with me. It turned out, I still wasn't reconciled. I resented that all my efforts for so long couldn't compare to a single glance from Grace. I resented that all my sacrifices couldn't earn a single heartfelt gesture from Marcus. I didn't know why he suddenly decided to prepare all of this for me. Perha. P.S. He felt he owed me. "I'm sorry, Harper, for leaving you alone at the hospital. I also messed up our 5th anniversary. I'm making it up to you today. From now on, I'll keep my distance from Grace. Please forgive me, okay?" Marcus pulled me into his arms, his voice incredibly gentle and pleasing. I quirked the corner of my lip and replied indifferently, "All right." He smiled contentedly. "I've been neglecting you lately. Once your leg gets better, we'll go to Iceland to see the northern. Haven't you always wanted to go?" When we got married, I practically scoured most of the honeymoon guides online. I instantly fell in love with the dazzling northern, and then incessantly talked to Marcus about it, telling him that once we had money, he'd owe me a honeymoon. At that time, I was full of expectation, mentally envisioning our married life, and didn't pay attention to his response. It wasn't until I saw that private account that I realized they had already been to Iceland. In that moment, I truly felt like a joke. So, he remembered after all. But I no longer looked forward to traveling with him. "Really?" I feigned surprise. "That's wonderful. I've wanted to go for ages, but..." I hesitated, and sure enough, Marcus's expression changed, becoming somewhat anxious. I stood on tiptoe and leaned into his ear, then pulled his hand to my lower abdomen. I was thinking that by then, the baby and we, the 3 of us, could go together as a family. We had been together for 6 years, and before today, I had never lied to him. So he wouldn't doubt my words. Marcus looked down at my flat abdomen, and froze for a moment. "You're having a baby? What do you mean?" I feigned annoyance and pushed him away. "Is it not your baby?" No, that's not what I meant." He was clearly confused. A few seconds later, he looked at me and suddenly his eyes curved into a smile. "I'm going to be a dad." He picked me up and spun me around, smiling somewhat foolishly. "I'm going to be a dad." I knew his joy at that moment was entirely genuine. Earlier this year, we had talked about having a child. We had also jointly anticipated the baby's birth. Until the day he learned Grace had divorced, that anticipation abruptly ceased, and he never mentioned it again. Marcus carefully placed me on the sofa, then squatted in front of me, holding my hand. "Harper, are you uncomfortable anywhere? Or is there anything you'd like to eat? I'll make it for you." I shook my head and patted his shoulder. "I'll tell you if I need anything. I wouldn't miss such a good opportunity to put you to work." He smiled somewhat foolishly, nodding continuously. Then, as if presenting a treasure, he pulled a square box from his pocket. "I've prepared a 5th anniversary gift for you. Harper, you chose the wedding ring. You've been by my side for 8 years and sacrificed so much for me. I'll make it all up to you from now on, starting with this ring, okay?" His well-defined hand opened the box, revealing a ruby ring inside. Marcus didn't remember that I had never liked red, Grace did. He remembered all her preferences. And according to her preferences, 5 years into our marriage, he prepared a grand surprise for me for the very first time, saying he wanted to make it up to me. Absurd and ridiculous. He took my left hand, taking off my original plain band ring. I had worn the ring for over 1,000 days and nights. When it came off, it left only a faint ring mark. Just like my feelings for him, after countless experiences, only resentment remained. Without waiting for my answer, Marcus directly tried to put the ring on my ring finger. My 6 years of tolerance and love had given him the brazen confidence. He knew I would never refuse him. Just as the ring was about to slip onto my finger, Grace's exclusive ringtone went off. His hand twitched, missing. Marcus instinctively glanced at me, then took his phone and went to the balcony. I didn't know what was said on the other end, but when he came out, his brows were deeply furrowed. Leo is missing, go. His brows furrowed even deeper, as if dissatisfied with my indifference. Harper, if you don't like it, I won't. How ridiculous. Back then, no matter how hysterically I tried to stop him from going to Grace, I couldn't. Now that I wasn't stopping him, he actually wanted me to keep him. I'm fine. The child is more important. Leaning on my cane, I handed him his jacket from the cabinet. Since having the baby, I've realized I was too petty before, even getting jealous of a child. I won't make things difficult for you anymore, rest assured. He gave me a meaningful look, then left. He slammed the door shut with a resounding bang. I knew he was displeased. But what right do you have to be displeased? It wasn't until sunset that I returned from the office. The huge house was pitch black, eerily silent, and Marcus still hadn't returned. I turned on the lights and sat on the sofa, staring at the 2 rings on the coffee table for a long time. Until my phone received a picture. Marcus was sleeping soundly, eyes closed. Fresh red teeth marks on his shoulder and blood-red nail marks on his neck clearly indicated what had just happened. Grace lay on the pillow beside him, smiling provocatively at the camera. I silently saved the photo. Knowing he had cheated and seeing it with my own eyes were 2 different things. I leaned back on the sofa, closing my eyes. In that moment, I felt nothing. I only belatedly thought that someone so noble and pure, like the moon, could also cheat. For so many years, Marcus, with his successful career and handsome face, had been tempted by many young women, some very beautiful and alluring. But he was never swayed. He was a man with a strong sense of principle, disdaining any actions that went against morality. However, all of Marcus's bottom lines completely collapsed after he encountered Grace. She was his inescapable fate, an untouchable figure dragged down from his pedestal, violating worldly morals, becoming ugly and contemptible. I couldn't even remember what he looked like when we first met. When returned, it was nearly dawn. I was always a light sleeper. The moment his alcohol-scented body pulled me into his arms, I woke up. I squinted my eyes and asked tiredly, "How's the child?" He paused, then placed a hand on my shoulder and pushed me away slightly. His gaze was probing, with a hint of barely perceptible panic. "Why aren't you asking me why I just got back?" "I did ask, remember?" I opened my eyes. "We're having a baby. I don't want to fight with you anymore." Recently, every time Marcus came home late, we would have a huge fight and end up parting ways unhappily. Each time, it ended with me being the first to give in. I could only reassure myself repeatedly with Marcus's thoughtfulness from previous years, telling myself he cared about me. Endure this period, and we would surely go back to how things were. Unfortunately, when a woman places her hopes on a man whose heart belongs to another, she is destined to lose everything. "I'm sorry, Harper." He clearly recalled the past and pulled me back into his arms. "It won't happen again. I'll stay by your side, and we'll live a good life." "All right." I curved my lips into a smile. After a long while, I heard him murmur to himself, "In the past, no matter how late I came home, you would always wait for me in the living room." I feigned deep sleep and rolled over in his arms. Marcus watched me for a long time, then rolled over too. He placed his hands protectively over my lower abdomen, his chest against my back, leaned in and kissed my cheek. "Good night, wife." My heart seized with alarm, and I quietly clenched my fists. This belated wife, I had waited 5 years for it. 10 days after my baby died, I achieved what I had once yearned for. Unfortunately, the part of my heart that loved him was already dead. Every interaction with him made me feel utterly disgusted. 4. 3 consecutive days, Marcus indeed kept his word, staying by my side almost constantly, whether at the office or at home. I don't know if it was to show me his determination, but he blocked all of Grace's contact information right in front of me. Unable to reach him, Grace persistently sent me messages. There were voice messages from Marcus, photos of them, and her incessant provocative words. I saved each one, never replying. Seeing's text message requesting a meeting, I curled the corner of my lips in satisfaction. Using the excuse of chatting with a friend, I went to a cafe to meet Grace, while Marcus waited in the car. Spit it out. I have a prenatal checkup with the baby's father this afternoon. Her words caught in her throat before she could even speak. Her expression changed several times. You're pregnant? No wonder. No wonder he's ignoring you now? I scoffed. What are you so proud of? Guess how many times we slept together the night he didn't come home. Grace proudly tilted her neck back, revealing the lingering marks. Smugly, she turned her phone to face me. It was an edited video of their intimacy. I glanced at it, then picked up my phone and secretly airdropped it to my own phone. If he knew you were manipulating him like this, he wouldn't let you off easy. No way. That night, he told me he loved me for a long time. From 18 to 21, he gave me the best years of his youth. What do you have to compete with me? I added the video to my hidden album, then texted Marcus to come in and pick me up. If I were you, I'd get rid of that bastard in your belly as soon as possible. We might even be merciful enough to give you 30,000. Otherwise, you and your bastard. Just then, the waiter arrived with the coffee. I stood up and splashed it on her face. Ah. Grace instantly jumped up from her chair. Coffee stains spread from her face all over her body, making her look incredibly disheveled. What are you doing? Her hand shot up. I grabbed it. Miss Grace, we are legally married. If anyone's a bastard, it's your son. At such a young age, claiming random fathers, he's just as despicable as you, his mother, the mistress. Because of her outburst just now, most people were looking our way. The gazes now fixed on her were all filled with disdain, and people openly whispered about her with their companions. Grace's face twisted, and she shrieked at everyone, the unloved one is the mistress. I let out a light laugh. Oh, Miss Grace, you're truly loving. I know all about your affairs overseas. Tell me, if I post those online, will your life in the country be even worse than it was overseas? With that, I turned and left. Harper. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Grace walk to my side, feigning a sprained ankle and bumping into me. I went with the force, tumbling down the steps, and simultaneously twisted open the blood bag in my pocket. Harper. Marcus rushed towards me, his face anxious. I took the opportunity to close my eyes. I didn't mean to, Marcus. Grace's voice was choked with sobs. Shut up. For the first time in his life, Marcus snapped at her. He picked me up and ran towards the door. His cold voice cut through the air. You'd better pray my wife and child are all right. Otherwise, I'll drag you down with me. After gave me an anesthetic, I woke up to muffled sobs from outside the hospital room. The noise made my head throb, and I called out, Marcus. You're awake, Harper, Marcus said, pushing the door open. He grasped my hand, forcing a smile. Are you uncomfortable anywhere? It was the first time I'd seen him so disheveled, his hair messy, his face covered in stubble. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he hadn't slept all night, or perhaps he'd been crying. I pulled my hand away, clutching my abdomen. Our baby is gone, I said, a sense of loss in my voice. Harper, Grace said, entering the room, her voice hoarse from crying. What are you doing here? Get out, Marcus snapped. Ed, stepping in front of me and pushing Grace's shoulder. Grace sidestepped, falling to her knees with a thud. I'm so sorry, Harper. When I found out you were pregnant, I wanted to help you downstairs, but my heel broke, and I twisted my ankle. I'm so sorry you lost your baby because of me. You can hit me, yell at me, whatever you want. Or, I could have Leo recognize you as his godmother, and he'll be filial to you his whole life. It was truly impressive that she was still putting on a show at a time like this. I played along, climbing out of bed and grabbing her collar, landing 2 hard slaps across her face. The next second, I was pulled away and gently placed back on the bed. The doctor said you need to rest. You shouldn't get angry now. We can talk about anything after you're discharged. Are you feeling sorry for her? Marcus, if hitting me makes her feel better, I wouldn't complain even if she beat me to death, Grace said, a calculating glint in her eyes. She scooted forward on her knees to the bedside. Don't let my unintentional mistake affect your marriage. She was clearly in the wrong first, but if she were beaten half to death, her role would instantly switch to that of a victim. At that point, Marcus wouldn't blame her, in fact, he'd feel guilty. After all, it was an unintentional mistake, right? I understood this logic, and so did Grace. What a shame. I tugged at Marcus's sleeve with a half-smile. Marcus, I just saw a hickey on Ms. Chen's neck. She got a boyfriend that quickly? Do you know who it is? Marcus's face stiffened. How would I know? I blocked her. Grace forced a laugh. We just started seeing each other. I'll invite you both to dinner sometime. But, isn't your boyfriend Marcus? I watched as both their faces changed simultaneously, and I casually dropped the bombshell. Or rather, Miss Chen, you told me yourself. Harper, you can't joke about things like that. Can't I? I played the recording. The night he didn't come home. Me, guess how many times we slept together. If I were you, I'd get rid of what's in your belly as soon as possible. It's fake, all fake. Marcus is believe me, I never said any of that. I love you so much, how could I bear to harm your baby? Grace lunged to grab the phone, but Marcus pushed her away. You lied to me. I had been insulted, pushed into a miscarriage, yet all this man cared about was that he had been lied to. It's easy to talk until the shoe is on the other foot. If you two want to argue, take it outside. I've already drafted the divorce papers. The shares are all yours, the property and the house are mine. If there are no issues, we'll register on Monday. I don't agree. Marcus was filled with regret. It's all my fault, Harper. Hit me, yell at me, whatever you want. I'll listen to you from now on. Please forgive me this one time, okay? No, I replied without hesitation. If you don't agree, I'll file for divorce. And then, your dirty laundry won't be a secret. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Miss Chen also recorded a video of you two. Marcus's body stiffened. He turned, looking at Grace in disbelief. I did it because I loved you too much, Grace said, lowering her head. That was our only time. Ha, I scoffed. You're a third party, don't desecrate love. I'll mail you the divorce papers tomorrow. Now, please get out, both of you. I'm sorry, Marcus said, his eyes red-rimmed. After a long moment, I heard the door click shut and sighed in relief. 5 years of marriage, ending in tragedy. Neither of us emerged unscathed from this union. The day we went to get our divorce papers after the cooling-off period was a rare sunny day. Marcus seemed to have shed his dejected demeanor from the registration, looking much more refreshed. Grace is pregnant, he announced. It felt like a sudden blow, and I froze for a second. I had played this charade with him for so long partly because I wanted to shatter Grace's idealized image and prevent them being together. They didn't deserve to be happy. Had I underestimated the influence of an idealized former flame after all? Without waiting for my response, Marcus continued on his own. Harper, don't you think this is a sign from heaven? Our baby just left, and now Grace is pregnant. It's our baby who missed us and came back. Let's not get divorced, okay? We can raise him together, he's the baby we waited for so long. He excitedly stepped forward to grab my hand, but I yanked it away. I couldn't help but slap him hard across the face. You disgust me. I dragged him to get the divorce papers and drove away. In the car, I uploaded the edited kissing clips with clothes on, the hospital surveillance footage, photos of the marriage and divorce certificates, and screenshots of Grace's social media posts provoking me. All of it, along with the details of Marcus and my relationship, went online. I paid to have it trend for 3 days, and they went viral. Countless people cursed them, and their company faced a nationwide boycott. Marcus panicked and called me. Harper, are you crazy? What good does any of this do you? Quickly, post a clarification on social media. I cut him off. Impossible. You didn't think cheating would only cost you some money, did you? It's not that easy. Marcus, karma for cheaters. Grace loves to sing praises of your invincible true love, doesn't she? Now the whole internet will remember your great love. How wonderful. Such a blessing, others could only dream of. With that, I hung up, removed my SIM card, and flew overseas to travel the world. After so many years of busyness, I finally had free time, and my mood was lighter than ever before. Later, I learned from a mutual friend that Grace had given birth to a boy, conceived during a drunken night. He was born with an intellectual disability. Marcus sold his shares to pay for his treatment. Grace couldn't stand living without money and took Leo, disappearing with what little cash they had left. My friend sighed, karma for cheaters, indeed. You two were so good together back then, but I cut him off, telling him I was getting married. As if summoned by the conversation, that same night, I saw Marcus, whom I hadn't seen in 2 years. He had changed a lot, his once dark hair was streaked with white. Standing there, gaunt and skeletal, he looked 10 years older. I regret it, he said, his voice hoarse with a sob. It's all my fault. Please, just give me one more chance. He suddenly knelt on the spot. My love, we promised to grow old together. I ran to Ryan, who had just gotten out of his car, and took his hand. Excuse me, sir, I'm engaged. Then I pulled Ryan's hand and walked forward. He probably hadn't seen clearly, so he asked me, who was that? Someone unimportant. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Please feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.